Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jacinta. If this is the first time, thank you for stopping by. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to cut and sew this simple wrap top. If it's what you love to learn, kindly watch till the end. And if you're yet to subscribe, please hit on the subscribe button below and also turn on your notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So without wasting much time, let's jump right into the tutorial. This is the fabric we're using for this tutorial. It's a vintage fabric and I have 2.5 yards here. I'm going to cut the back first, so I'll fold my fabric into two and determine the wideness or the width of the folded fabric because you wouldn't want to waste your material. To do this, I'm going to divide the biggest body circumference I'm working with, which is the bust. I'll divide it by 4 and I'm going to add extra 2 inches. So that is the measurement I am going to use to fold this fabric. After which, I'll pin my fabric to avoid shifting and roll a starting line. Placing my tape on the starting line, I will mark the bust point I'm working with, which is 11 inches. I'll also mark the full length plus 1 inch, which is 19 inches. The 1 inch is for folding at the full length. Have in mind that wrap tops usually stop at 2 inches or 3 inches below the half length, or you can stop at exactly the half length if you want yours to be a crop top. On the starting line, I'll mark half of the shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. On the 8 inches mark, I'm going to come downwards by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Placing my tape on the shoulder slope, I'll mark 7.5 inches downwards for my armhole level and connect with a straight line. And on that point where the armhole level ended, I will extend the line. Also on the shoulder line, I'll mark 3 inches inwards for the neck width and connect the 3 inches neck width to the 1 inch I came down by for my shoulder slant. On the chest line, I will mark what of my bust circumference, that is my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll add the extra 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I'll mark exactly the same measurement on my bust line and connect the 2 points. On the full length, I'll divide my waist circumference by 4 and add 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I'll connect the measurements. I'll come downwards by 1.5 inch from the starting line for my back neck depth and connect it to the neck width. I'll also draw my armhole curve. I forgot to do that. I'll find the midpoint of this straight line. On that midpoint, I'll come in by 1/2 inch. I use my armhole curve to connect from my shoulder slope to the 1/2 inch I came in by to the part of my bust circumference that I marked on the chest line. After doing that, I'll go ahead and cut this out. After cutting it out, I'll fold my fabric into two again for the front piece and place the back piece on it, making sure that I have space at the center front. To determine the measurement or the amount of space that you will leave at the center front, after placing the back piece, I will divide my waist circumference by 4. Whatever it gave me is going to be the wideness of the space I left at the center front for the wrap. After which, I'll pin the front and back together. Now, for the front leg depth, it totally depends on what you want. If you want your bust to show, you can come down by 7 inches or more. But if you don't want your bust to show, you want it to be high, you will come downwards by 4 inches or 4.5. So mine, I placed my tape on the shoulder of the back and marked 6 inches downwards. As you can see, I folded the back a little bit before marking the 6 inches. So go ahead and do yours that way. So I marked 6 inches downwards for the front neck depth. I'm going to use my ruler to connect from the neck width. Of course, the neck width is 3 inches. It's the same neck width with the back. To the 6 inches front neck depth to the space I left for the wrap, which is 1/4 of my waist circumference on the full length. So we're going to connect it in a slanted line like this. After that, I'll go ahead and cut it out. After cutting it out, I will notch the point where the extension started from at the full length of the front. Opening it up, this is what it looks like. You can see that the wrap is already formed. I'll keep that aside. Now cut the rope that will attach to the full length of the front for tying of the wrap. I folded my fabric into two because I'll be cutting for the two sides at the same time. So for the width, I marked 6 inches. That is the wideness. The length does not have any specific measurements. You can make it as long as you want. After marking, I'll go ahead and cut it out. Now for the bell sleeve, I folded my fabric into two. I'm going to roll a starting line. Placing my tape on the starting line, I will mark 4 inches downwards for my biceps line and square across. I'll connect from the biceps line to the starting line with a slant like this. I'll get one of my top pieces and measure the armhole. Whatever I get is what I'm going to mark on the biceps line. I'll get the midpoint of the slanted line. Then use my armhole cuff to connect from the starting point to the center, and from the center also to the biceps line, just like the way I'm doing. Placing my tape on the starting line, I'll mark the full length of this sleeve. So this bell sleeve has ruffles at the full length. So I'm going to minus 3 inches for that ruffles. For example, if your full sleeve length is 25 inches, you're going to minus 3 inches, which is 22 inches. So that 22 inches is what I'm going to mark here. On the full length, I'm going to mark 12 inches and connect from that 12 inches to this biceps line. After which, I'll go ahead and cut it out and use it to cut the second sleeve. I was done cutting the sleeve. I'm cutting the piece of fabric I'll use for the ruffles. So I folded my fabric into 2 and I marked 6 inches. When joining it, I'll fold it into 2 to make it 3 inches. After cutting, I'll open up the closed side. It was not long enough, so I'll join the 2 pieces together. I'll also cut the one for the second sleeve. I'll also cut 1 inch of piece of fabric that we'll use to turn the neckline of the front and back. If you don't want to use the fabric to turn the neckline, you can use a bias. I was done with all the cutting. What I'm going to do now is to join the pieces of fabric together. I'll start by joining the 2 shoulders of the front and back piece using 1/2 inch. So I'll place it front facing front and go over to my machine and join using 1/2 inch. I will also turn the neckline of the back and the front with the 1 inch piece of fabric I've cut earlier. You know the way you turn with your bias, that is exactly how I'm going to turn this neckline. You sew at the front, then top stitch at the back. So I'll quickly do that and come and show you guys. I was on joining the shoulders and turning the neckline. As you can see, I'll keep that aside and work on the sleeve. So this is the bell sleeve. I will notch the midpoint of the upper part and open it up. At the down part, I will attach the piece of fabric that we've cut earlier for the ruffles. The piece of fabric we are going to be joining, I've joined the 2 pieces together. Now it's much longer, so I'm going to fold it into 2 like this, and I'm going to start pleating it on the full length of this bell sleeve. I'm going to be pleating it as I am joining it, and I'll make sure that all of them enters this down part. So I'm going to do this for the 2 sleeves. I'll come and show you guys. So I was done pleating. This is it, guys. I really love how these ruffles came out. It's very full. If you want yours to be this fine and full, make sure that the fabric you are pleating is much, as in the length of the fabric you are pleating is very long. What I'm going to do now is to turn the full length of my top. So using the piece of fabric that I've cut out, I'm going to turn the full length. So if you're using your bias, go ahead and turn yours. And of course, I'm going to attach the sleeve. Placing the sleeve front facing front with the top, I'm going to place the midpoint where I've notched to my shoulder. Then use 1/2 inch to sew on both sides of the armhole. I was done attaching the sleeves and turning the down part. What I'm going to do now is to close the 2 sides and also close the sleeves. To do this, I'll place the front and back facing each other, making sure that the sides of the back and that of the front are together. Same with the sleeves. I'll use my pin to hold it together from the sleeve down to the full length. I'll mark 1 inch from the sleeve to the armhole, and from the armhole I'm going to mark 1.5 inch to the full length. I'll do this for the 2 sides. Go over to my machine and sew it down. So this is the fabric I'll be using for the rope. I'll fold it into 2 and I'll go over to my machine and close it using 1/2 inch. I'll close one end and leave one end open. I was done sewing the rope. I'm going to turn it to the right side. After turning it on the opened end, I'm going to attach it to my top. So I'll place it this way at the point where the top and the rope are equal. That is where I'm going to place it. I'll pin it together, go over to my machine and stitch it together. After sewing it, I'll trim off the excess, and that will be all for the cutting and sewing of this wrap top. If you find this video helpful and you've learned something, please hit on the subscribe button below and turn on your notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in my next tutorial.